to the earth as to die on the cross is to establish the government of God on the earthly planet. So the coming of Jesus was not necessarily for signs. It was not necessarily for wonders. All those things were put in place for attraction. So there was a reason why Christ died. And there was a reason why Christ came. And the primary reason why Christ came was for him to die on the cross so that through his death, other Christ can what? Resurrect. Through his death, our communities can be infested with the knowledge of the true God. Through his death, the government of Christ can find expression on the earthly planet. I keep telling us every now and then that the reason why Christ died is not for physical and material acquisition. I was teaching somewhere the other time and I told them that anything God could achieve before the coming of Christ, anything the Father could achieve in men and through men before the coming of Christ was not the reason why Christ came. Let me explain my statement. Anything God could achieve in men and through men before Christ came was not the reason why Christ came. For example, before Christ came, God empowered people to become rich. There was a man called Abraham that was very rich. There was a man called Lot that was very rich. There were many rich men in the Old Testament. In fact, there were many rich men in the New Testament, even before the death of Christ. It now tells you that Christ did not come to die for people to acquire money. Because even without him dying, people have been acquiring money. That's what I'm trying to say. Christ did not come to die because of healing. Do you know why I said so? Because even before the coming of Christ, people were being healed. In fact, there was a man in the Old Testament called Elisha. Elisha was a man that died, and after his death, his bones brought back a dead man back to life, even before Christ came. So let us stop selling the wrong market to the people. The reason why people are not coming to Jesus is because we don't understand the reason why Christ came. Christ did not come for signs and wonders. Don't think that the coming of Christ was to introduce us to signs and wonders. All those things are secondary. Because even before the coming of Christ, God could achieve signs and wonders through men. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The prophets, look at Ezekiel 36. A man went to a valley filled with dry bones, and through him, God was able to bring back bones that have been dead for long. And these bones began to gather flesh. They began to gather sinews. The cartilages and the tendons began to join to each other. These bones that were dry, very dry, they received life. So if God's interest was for signs and